good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special segment today on the 15th day of September 2022. And hey, it's a beautiful day here and 18 degrees and sunny it says, but it is slightly cloudy, a little bit of an overcast, not too much, but it's a beautiful part of the year, just sprung into spring. Well, right now let's get on with the news for today, and because we also have the Daily India report for you today. Apologies for missing that yesterday. Some technical issues. But right now, what's making news worldwide and everyone's talking about is Queen and the Queen's coffin as it departs Buckingham Palace. these are historic scenes, and this scene will be repeated so many times all over the East, and this will now be all part of history. So we are in a very, very historic time at this point in time. Well, of course, as we saw from those scenes, well, they reckon that London came to a stop as the coffin left Buckingham Palace.
Just a few hours ago, the Queen's coffin was taken from Buckingham Palace for the last time in a solemn procession through the city streets and parks, watched on by tens of thousands of people, all paying their respective tributes. Some watched on in silence, others applauded before the Queen's coffin. The cortege made its way to Westminster Hall, where the Queen is now lying in state, and already thousands of mourners have filed through Westminster Hall. We can bring up those live pictures again that show the level of interest in Britons, not just people in Britain, in this country, but right around the world, wanting to pay their respects to the Queen. And we are expecting queues to stretch as long, potentially as 5 to 10 kilometres over the next 3 or 4 days. Things are moving at a fairly steady clip at the moment, but as we move into the weekend, the UK government is urging people to bring along their patience and tolerance if they are planning to file past the Queen's coffin. Our colleague Barbara Miller is at Westminster as well. Barbara, tell us what you're seeing there on the ground.
As you say, Michael, it's clear there is significant interest here. This queue moving at quite a steady pace here. Let's see if anyone will talk to us, because they are sometimes moving quite fast. Hi, can I ask you why you've come?
Yes, we've come to pay respect for the Queen. We really loved her. We really respect her.
Why did you love her?
Because of all the service that she had in London, UK, and all of the Commonwealth. So this is the best that we can do for her.
Did you make any new friends in the queue?
Yes, actually behind us there is a group of people where you can interview and they come together and meet. So here.
Not with you?
No, not together, but they're a group, so you can, yeah. They're pretty cool.
And how far did you come?
We're from East London, so we've been walking for like 3 hours now or so. So not too bad, but we're still getting there.
Okay, hope it's not too much longer.
Yes.
Thank you. So, Michael, this queue sort of starts moving very quickly at times, and then there's a bit of a bottleneck. The last update that I saw from the government was suggesting it was currently around 2.4 miles. Things are still in miles here, which is just under 4 kilometres long. But as you say, the further we go towards the weekend, we might expect that to grow significantly. Overnight trains are being added to the timetable in anticipation of a surge in people wanting to come here.
And so, as you mentioned, the funeral's not until Monday. We have these 4 days of the Queen lying in state. What happens next? Obviously, we have the mourners coming through, but also foreign dignitaries starting to arrive as well in the next few days.
That's right, including, of course, our own Prime Minister, and we do expect some of those people also to file through Westminster Hall, also to pay their respects. I'm not sure whether they'll have to do so at the same pace that the people in this line are having to do it. Those pictures you saw, you'll have seen that people are filing past the coffin on either side. You are able to stop briefly. Some people, if they want to cross themselves, for example, are able to do that. But you really can't linger there just to get as many people through as possible, and you definitely can't take a selfie, and you are asked to dress appropriately, whatever that means. Possibly not your budgie smugglers and your thongs.
It is going to be challenging for some people.
That's pretty good advice, certainly for any Australians who might be intending to make a visit there. Barbara Miller, keeping it real. Thank you very much. So, Greg and Madeline, I was lucky enough to be halfway along the Mall here, watching that procession go along today. The Queen's coffin was draped in the Royal Standard. The State Imperial Crown was sitting on a velvet cushion on top. And movingly, we had King Charles walking behind the Queen's coffin alongside his three siblings. Behind them, Prince Harry and Prince William in scenes reminiscent, of course, of the scenes we saw 25 years ago when the two princes, merely boys, along with then Prince Charles, were walking behind the coffin of Princess Diana. So it went off without a hitch. There were security concerns about the procession, but it all went well. And as we say now, the focus was very much firmly on the lying in state. There we see the pictures earlier from the procession ahead of the state funeral. So all going along like clockwork at the moment.
All going like clockwork, and can you imagine the amount of work that would have gone behind the scenes, or all the coordination and getting everyone, all the uniforms and getting everything ready, and arranging all the logistically. It would be a nightmare. But again, looking at it, it is being done in the splendor of the royalty and that's of Britain. Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at some of the local news. Well, ITO has now moved from Canberra CBD to Barton.
This is currently a vacant lot in Barton, but by 2025 it'll be home to about 2,000 workers from the ATO. Traders in the city centre, the ATO's current home, worry the exodus will hurt.
Yeah, they come down here for their morning coffee, they come down here for their lunch, and with them not around anymore, yeah, we're going to suffer.
90% of our customers are, of course, public servants.
Many businesses are only just recovering from the COVID-19 downturn.
They're our bread and butter, so yeah, passing traffic is something, but yeah, we rely on the people upstairs a lot.
2,000 people is a lot. Working days, 5 days.
So as they reckon, someone's loss is other person's gain. So moving into a brand new place would mean that all the people who used to feed off those people working in ITO would now lose a chunk of their business. While talking about business, there's been a lot of funny business going on with the Crown Casino and the Star. As per this news.
Two of Australia's biggest casino operators opened their doors to criminals for years. The fate of Star's Sydney casino is now hanging in the balance.
Star has been absolutely horrendous. They've got 14 days to respond to that report, and if they don't comply, they're likely to close.
An independent inquiry found Star failed to address money laundering, terrorism financing risks, and allowed criminal enterprises to infiltrate the casino. The findings form part of a bigger trend. A fresh inquiry is also being held into Star's casinos in Queensland, while Crown has been found unfit to run casinos in New South Wales, Victoria and Western Australia. The relevant watchdogs all stopped short of revoking Crown's gaming licences.
These are national offences against the federal law, and I think it's appropriate for the federal authorities to take over the regulation.
Anti-gambling MP Andrew Wilkie has again called for a royal commission into the nation's casinos, and he's also pushing for an independent national regulator.
I fear we're going to have another case here where no one's going to be charged. There's just going to be, some fines, a bit of clean-up, and everyone will get on with things because governments, and this is the other layer of the problem, because governments are too cosy with these companies.
I'm not in favour of regulation for the sake of it, and I think it's pretty hard for anyone to argue that either Crown or Star are not being held to account at the moment.
The Australian Federal Police and New South Wales Police won't comment on whether they're investigating any alleged crimes linked to the inquiry. Rani Hayman, ABC News, Sydney.
Well, there you go. The police won't comment, and that is understandable because it's in the middle of an investigation, so they will not disclose the findings yet. Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, time to go overseas. First of all, to Ukraine, and then we'll look at the Daily India Report. That's an abandoned Russian tank which has been reclaimed by Ukraine. Well, so much for that. Right now, it's time to go to our Daily India Report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. India has witnessed the sharpest dip in weekly COVID-19 numbers in the last 4 months. India has recorded a sharp dip in COVID-19 cases for the week ending September 11th. Both fresh cases and deaths registering their sharpest weekly decreases in percentage terms at least in the last 4 months. For the first time since early June, India recorded less than 50,000 new cases in the August 29 to September 4th week. The surge in infections seen from June till late July continues to subside for the 6th week running. The tally of cases this week is likely to be close to 46,400, a 30% drop from the previous week's total of 66,400. Such a sharp dip in weekly numbers was last recorded during the receding phase of the third wave in February and March 2022. The receding graph of infections in the country was also reflected in active cases as well as the positivity rate. Active cases of the virus had fallen to around 51,000 by September 11th, dropping from nearly 69,000 on September 4th. All states and union territories logged a decline in fresh cases as compared to the previous week, with the lone exception of Kerala state. September 11th data for the southern state wasn't immediately available, but from the trend of the past few days, it is likely to post an increase of around 15%. This would be the second straight week of rising cases in the state, which had reported 7,863 fresh infections last week. India will host the summit of leaders of the top leaders of the world under the Group of 20 or G20 in September 2023. India assumes the presidency from December 1st, 2022. India will be hosting the G20 Leaders Summit on September 9th and 10th in 2023. During its presidency of the strategic multilateral platform, beginning December 1st, 2022, the government will be hosting 200 meetings across the country. India will assume the presidency of the Intergovernmental Forum of the world's major developed and developing economies comprising 19 countries and the European Union for 1 year from December 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2023. Apart from the member states and international organizations which participate in the summit, India will also be inviting Bangladesh, Egypt, Mauritius, the Netherlands, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, Spain and the UAE as guest countries, and the International Solar Alliance, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure and the Asian Development Bank as guest organizations. Bangladesh is the only immediate neighbor to make it to India's guest list. India made the official announcement on September 13th. Even though India is in the process of firming up the G20 priorities under its leadership, yet officials said the ongoing conversations inter alia revolve around inclusive, equitable and sustainable growth, lifestyle for environment, women's empowerment, digital public infrastructure and tech-enabled development in areas ranging from health, agriculture and education to commerce, skill mapping, culture and tourism, climate financing, circular economy, global food security, energy security, green hydrogen, disaster risk reduction and resilience, developmental cooperation, fight against economic crime and multilateral reforms. India is currently part of the G20 Troika comprising Indonesia, Italy and India. During India's presidency, the Troika will include India, Indonesia and Brazil. This would be the first time when the Troika would consist of 3 developing countries and emerging economies, providing them a greater voice, said Indian officials. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is most likely scheduled to meet President Putin in Samarkand, and there are speculations about also a meeting with the Chinese president. India and Russia are discussing the possibility of a meeting between Modi and President Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin, in a statement on September 13th, said that Putin will have a number of bilateral meetings in Samarkand. Meanwhile, Indian and Chinese troops verified the disengagement at the Gogra Hot Springs on eastern Ladakh border with China on September 13th. The timely completion of the disengagement has led to speculations of a possible bilateral meeting between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping in Samarkand in Uzbekistan during the SCO summit. No official confirmation of bilateral meetings have been given. Sources said the Indian Prime Minister's participation in the summit will be a low-key affair, with Modi unlikely to have too many bilateral engagements. However, the only bilateral meeting that Modi is certain to participate in at this stage is with host Uzbekistan. Efforts are also on to schedule a meeting between Modi and Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi. Billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates has hailed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's initiatives in digital payment, sanitation and vaccination drive. US-based Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates says under Modi, India has set an example in several development initiatives to include digital payments, sanitation, vaccination drive and women empowerment. He said India is an example of many things that have been done in women's self-help groups and digital empowerment in India. Gates added that a number of things were done well in India and the rest of the world is learning from these leadership actions. He described India as super important in terms of its position in the world. He said it is great to see increased use of solar energy in India and companies making huge investments in it. Former senior Congress party leader Ghulam Nabi Azad has taken a fresh dig at Rahul Gandhi but says unlike Gandhi, he does not make personal attacks. Former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Ghulam Nabi Azad on September 13th said that, unlike Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, he does not make personal attacks. Ghulam Nabi Azad said, quote, I sat across PM Modi for 7 years in Parliament and criticized his policies vehemently. The only difference is I don't make personal attacks. I attack policies, not individuals, because Allah makes individuals. People who associated me with him said I would be made the president, the vice president and even a nominated member. But did anything actually happen? End quote. Azad does hit out a Rahul Gandhi saying Rahul started associating Ghulam Nabi with the BJP after the recent developments within Congress. Nabi said when senior leaders wrote the letter demanding a full-time Congress president, they got rattled and spread the lie that it was written at the behest of PM Modi. Nabi said the lies were started by the Congress Working Committee and the leader. For those who allege his links with the BJP, Ghulam Nabi dares them by saying, quote, nobody can dictate Ghulam Nabi. There is no case against me and not a single FIR. I have no wealth. Why should I fear anyone? End quote. Indian equity market is bearish on cues from global markets where the sell-off continues. The Indian equity market plunged sharply on the morning of September 14th along with its Asian peers as high inflation numbers of the US sparked a global sell-off. Sensex plunged more than 1,150 points to open at 59,417.12, whereas NSE's barometer tanked more than 180 points to 17,887.70. However, both BSE Sensex and NSE Nifty 50 recovered partially and closed at 60,346.97 and 18,003.75 respectively. Worse than expected CPI inflation data in the US was a surprise for the market as Asian markets opened with big cuts on September 14th. Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Seoul, Taipei and Sydney all opened sharply lower at the start of the trading. Traders across the globe are expecting the US Federal Reserve to continue to remain hawkish in taming the rising prices with aggressive rate hikes. In India, the traders expect a 50 BPS rate hike from the RBI as inflation numbers sprang to 7% in August from 6.71% a month earlier. Indian women's cricket team beat England by 8 wickets in a T20I match played in Derby. Indian women defeated England women by 8 wickets in the second T20 to level the ongoing 3-match series 1-1 at County Ground, Derby on September 13th. Chasing 143 runs to win, India made 146 runs in 16.4 overs for the loss of 2 wickets. Winning the toss and opting to bat first, England made 142 for 6 in the stipulated 20 overs. For India, Sneha Rana scalped 3 wickets while Renuka Singh and Deepti Sharma took 1 wicket each. In the chase, Indian opener Smriti Mandhana made an unbeaten 79 runs and got support from Harmanpreet Kaur's unbeaten 29 runs and Shefali Verma's 20 runs. Smriti Mandhana was named player of the match. The final match in the T20 series will take place at Bristol. Both teams will play 3 ODI matches after the T20 series. The prestigious New York Fashion Week held in a special standalone platform for South Asian fashion designers. The ongoing New York Fashion Week 2022 included an innovative initiative to highlight, recognize and appreciate South Asian fashion designers through a standalone platform. The South Asian New York Fashion Week, held from September 8 to 14th at venues all over Manhattan, took over the city's fashion scene with some noteworthy names in international couture. Featuring designers across the South Asian diaspora, the shows were categorized by streetwear, sustainability, menswear, traditional, bridal and Indo-Western styles. These names included Nomi Ansari and Mayur Girotra, as well as some established and well-known designers. With an expected high projected audience and increased participation from leading pioneers of the South Asian fashion industry, SANYFW promises to be the must-attend week for fashionistas this fall.
During the week-long experience hosted at Quintessential NYC venues, influencers, celebrities, icons and enthusiasts of South Asia design, fashion and culture had access to runway shows. The shows were categorized by streetwear, sustainability, menswear, traditional, bridal and Indo-Western styles.
OTT giant Netflix has released the trailer of Bollywood stars Ritesh Deshmukh and Tamanna Bhatia in the comedy Plan A, Plan B.
Ritesh Deshmukh and Tamanna Bhatia will be seen together for the first time on screen in the romantic comedy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have for you in this segment. But before we go, we will take a look at functions and events that are taking place. As we know, there's quite a lot that's now taking place once again, and we need to make sure that we remain on top of all the functions and events, and we always keep adding on new ones. So, ladies and gentlemen, also would like to let you know that tomorrow we have a very special segment coming up as well, and that segment would be the PRD Market Research Report, and we will have ST from PRD, the research team, the chief economist, who will be in here in the studios to discuss the findings. And the findings officially go out to market tomorrow because it is in the process of being launched. It's getting launched tomorrow, so tomorrow would be the day. And that will come live at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So, I would like to make sure that you all tune into that as well. But right now, it's time to look at our functions and events. ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you in this segment. Don't forget that tomorrow we have two segments, 9 a.m. news, 10 a.m. news, and then at 11 we will have ST from PRD Market Research. She is the chief economist, and she will be here discussing the latest finding and the latest report that gets released tomorrow. So fresh off the press, right here, you'll be the first one to know all about it from Australian Indian Radio. See you all tomorrow.